carving time out of your day to be here this morning and giving me the extraordinary privilege of being with you at this most amazing holy site here at Shilo. Having been here before, I'm never here when I'm not moved emotionally to realize I'm standing in the very place where years ago God's people built the tabernacle and they worshiped and they went through an extraordinary process of building their place here in Israel as their home. I never use a term that says anything other than Judea and Samaria, because to me the biblical terms are the terms that really describe this land and take it back 3,500 years. To say anything else would to me be a sacrilege. It would be unbiblical, if you will, to use language that is not representative of the very history of this very holy place. A few days ago, when I was speaking at the Jewish News Conference, I started by saying that President Trump was asked by the people of Israel to please pick an ambassador and send a Huckabee. Instead, he sent a Huckabee. He misunderstood. But I'm glad he sent me, because there's no other place on earth that I would rather serve our president and my country than here in Israel. And I'm grateful to the president for giving me the privilege. I'm even more grateful for a president who loves this land, who was the first sitting president to go to the Kotel. And he instructed me when I came that my first official act was to take a prayer that he had written in his own hand, and he handed it to me in the Oval Office of the White House and said, "Take this prayer." And so my first official act was to go to the Kotel with the prayer that the president had handed me, a prayer for the peace of Jerusalem, and to place it in the wall on behalf of 330 million American people, to join with our president to say, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and of all Israel. Being here today is an extraordinary honor for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that many of you have made extraordinary sacrifices to live here in the communities that you have built out of blood, sweat, tears, and great risk. And that you have done that is an indication that it's not just a place to live, it's a calling. Please forgive me if the spiritual language is offensive to anyone, but how else do you describe Israel without talking about that this place is a miracle? It is a miracle. The only explanation for what is happening in this land is that God is with you. If he is not, I try to remind people that the reason that I find this so overwhelming to be here is not because I'm Jewish, because all of you know I'm not. I have some Jewish friends that say, you seem to love Israel more than we do. I said, well, if you're a Jew, you don't have much choice. I got a lot of choice, but I love it out of conviction because I believe the Bible, and I also know that in my own faith, I don't have a faith if you don't. You can have your faith without me. I cannot have mine without you. In fact, the way I try to say it is simple. I owe you a great debt. I hope to be able to repay a little bit of it in my service as ambassador to the state of Israel. But the debt that I owe is a debt that is not geopolitical. It is a debt that is spiritual. It is a debt that understands that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that God chose his people, his place, and his purpose. And he used the Jewish people to be a revelation to the world of who he is and his law, to describe how we're to live. To put in simple terms, the likes of which I grew up with in South Arkansas in the United States, he made up the game, he gets to make the rules. And if we play by those rules, we win, we live. If we fail to play by those rules, we lose and we die. The Jewish people represent playing by his rules. And it's one of the reasons that so many people across the earth and so many people across the ages have sought to kill every last Jew on earth. People wonder, why is anti-Semitism on the rise? Why is it that sometimes people have a disproportionate, irrational hatred of the Jews? It's because they really don't just hate you. They hate God. They hate his law. They hate the truth. They hate that which is right. They wish to live as it was in the time of Judges, when everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And that's why, because you represent God's entry into the world, God's choice for this land and his people, it's why you end up getting on the worst end of it. It is also, though, why people like me need to express to you as often as possible, we stand with you. You are not alone, nor will you ever be, because there are many of us in this world and in the faith who recognize that not standing with you is not standing with God. Not standing up for you. Not standing up for you is to our own detriment. I believe in the simple realities of the Bible. Those who bless Israel will be blessed, but those who curse Israel will be cursed. I can't speak for anyone else. I'd rather be blessed than cursed. I come today to stand in solidarity with you with a great sense of opportunity and aspiration that we will be able to work together for an Israel that sees peace. And as I love to remind people, my prayer is that every Israeli mother will put their children to bed at night and tuck them in and have no fear that a siren will go off and they have to rush to a shelter to save the lives of their children. That you will live in peace, and you will live in safety, and you will live in security, and you will live in prosperity. Because I do believe that is God's purpose and will for the people of Israel. I want to say one final thing, and then Israel, if it's appropriate to take some questions from the group.
We're going to introduce themselves.
Okay, excellent. And by the way, thank you, and thank Eliana for being such magnificent host for us. Thank you very, very much. I wanted to share with you that my daughter, who took my old job as governor of Arkansas, and she tells everybody that she wants to be a better governor than her dad. I say it's a low bar. I think you've already cleared it. But I'm really proud of her. 2 weeks ago, she signed into law in Arkansas that any reference to this part of Israel will be always Judea and Samaria and no other term will be allowed. That is not simply a proclamation. That is now the actual law of my home state. And I'm so proud of my daughter, who I brought here on many occasions and introduced her to this land. And she almost loves it as much as I do. And when she comes as many times as I have, she will love it as much as I do as well. And with that, I would love to take questions.